Numbers in games and making bills. You know, in Gotham Knights, it's quite interesting the disparity in opinions that we have. For once, I am hoping that they manage to nail the numbers kind of thing on the game, because I'm just like that, dude. I love numbers in my RPGs, and that is what we are going to be discussing about today. Now, this being a superhero game and having RPG elements, it turns out quite a little bit some people, because some people just want to have skins and not having to worry about anything about the stats. In here, we actually do worry about the stats because we love building our characters in as many games as we can. So I, for once, am happy that I can build a character and that I can also look badass in the game as I can look. But you do have to have in mind as well that it is potentially the case that those numbers are not going to be well managed and they are just going to feel forced in the game. So we're going to be discussing in this video about everything, all that. What is up, you damn gorgeous and beautiful gamers? Welcome back to Role-Playing Games. This is Mariel Corner in the internet, where we like to discuss about RPGs. If you like the content, a like in the video is super appreciated. Subscription as well. Let's get right into the matter. So the very first thing that you need to know about the gear system is crafting. To get a gear, to get a piece of armor, you need to craft it. We do not know specifically, maybe it is the case that you will be able to loot armor from enemies, but the main focus that the developers have been giving to us is that to get a gear, you need to craft that gear. So you are going to need two things to be able to craft that gear. Materials. As you can see right here, we have a huge array of materials that you will get from exploring the world. But also, once you gather all of those materials, you will need blueprints. Blueprints, there's a total of 11 different armor sets for each specific character, making up to 44 different armors scattered throughout all of the Gotham Knights. And that being the case, to be able to have a specific suit, you're going to have to craft it. You're going to find the blueprint while you explore the world, while you do side activities. Maybe we do not know yet how much RNG is going to play a factor in this game, but if it is going to be focused on just heading over to a specific mission and retrieving that specific suit, that's quite amazing. But it's also nice if we would be able, it makes more sense to me that you go get those crafting blueprints from a specific mission or specific place, and then you get random gear from basic enemies, and there is that. But that being the case, that is basically what you need to know to craft the gear. Now let's get over to the gear on itself, because this is where things get interesting, and this is how you can start building a character. So we have the rarity of the gear, the level, power, armor, health, so on and so forth. All of those little stats that we already know from every single other game. Let's just talk briefly about them before we can get to the explanation of how can you build a proper character in this game. So the rarity of the gear, it's just your natural, common, uncommon, rare, epic, heroic. And the distinctive colors that they will have more stuff. The more rarity they have, the more powerful they will be. The more power they will have, the more armor they will have. Level, it's just the level of the gear for a specific certain area of the game. Naturally, this being an open world RPG, the game should be divided into level of areas, and you shouldn't be able to enter different areas if you don't have the proper level of the gear. So you could have enough power in a, let's say, level 5 gear, but if you're trying to get into a level 10 area and yours is like a rare gear, you would probably be better off with an uncommon level 10 for that specific place. But it's just the level of it all. And then the power, which is just basically like always going to affect how much DPS can you deal. armor, we all know armor, health, we all know health, and below health, in some of the gears, you will notice, some of the armors, you will notice that there are elemental resistances. We do know that elemental resistances and elemental damage will play a huge part in this game, and it's only natural, dude. We have Mr. Freeze and maybe Poison Ivy, all of those. We have Firefly, so we have different villains that could potentially deal different specific elemental damages, so you should be focusing as well on elemental resistances by visiting specific areas of the game where we have specific elemental enemies in the game. Like always, do not feel that afraid of these kind of mechanics, because at the end of the day, if you do not want to worry too much about it, it's generally not that huge of a deal. It's just like, that's just focus for players that want to be overpowered and have a specific gear for a specific situation. But if you do not want to, you do not have to have those kind of gears for a specific situation. I do like to have several gears for several occasions and several places because I feel immersed in it. It requires a lot of time, it requires a lot of farming, but that's why I like RPGs, because I like to farm. I like to have my gears set up for a specific situation. And that being the case, the final stat that you will notice that we have been seeing in this little showcase is the module slots. Module slots for module chips. This is where we're going to be dividing our game into two different audiences. There's the one main audience that just wants to play the game, not having to worry about numbers, and that it is completely fine. It's completely fine to feel that if you do not want to worry too much about building a character, and just all you have to do is focus on getting the higher level of gear, higher level of rarity, and that thing is going to carry you through the entirety of the game, and you don't have to worry about anything else. On the other hand, if you are just like me and you like to feel overpowered characters that break every single RPG that you can play, then this is what it gets interesting. Module chips. You will see that depending on the rarity of the gear, it's going to have more module slots. Some heroic gear can also be upgraded to have more module slots. In module slots, you will be able to place module chips. Module chips are going to affect the main core of your build. Again, going back a little bit, you will see that on base of it all, we have just those basic stats that are never going to change, and they are just going to be improving from one gear and level to another and the rarity of another. Level, power, armor, health, basic stuff. If you want to get more technical about it all and you want to build a powerful character that is going to make many amazing things, module chips are going to be your friends. This is just an assumption, this is just me speculating, but we know how RPGs work, and we know how those passive little stats that we get from those specific little things work. So for example, in the showcase we were able to see a Nightwing that was using cold or freeze batons. You will be able to upgrade all of that playstyle things that you have for that specific stat and that specific element using your module chips. So let's say, for example, remember this is just an example, but if I am being a Frost Knight, I would have to play some Frost Damage module chips, as well maybe Frost Duration module chips, as well as some Frost Affliction module chips, so that I will be able to freeze enemies more often, to deal more damage with ice more often, and to make the duration of the enemies to be frozen more often. And potentially you could have like the epic rarity of the gear that we have seen right here. Most of the cases they have lethal module chips. So if you want to build a character, you have to have the highest rarity of the gear possible, because that's going to allow you to be able to craft something that is going to impact the build and overall the elemental damage that you do. Maybe we will have module chips that will enhance the talents and skills, basic abilities that we have from our character. So the more module slots that you have, the more powerful that you will be. Do you need that to complete the game? No, of course not. If you want to just enjoy the game on itself and enjoy the skin, there is also a transmog system in this game. But if you just want to enjoy the skin of your character and just feel strong as you level up, just take up the basic level of it all that you gather around that, and do not worry about everything else. On the other hand, if you want to make a build for your character and you want to break the game and you want to feel how different it plays, not using just the basic controls of it all, but maybe a fire-based build is going to feel more different to play than a frost-based build, or a range, for example, based build that is going to be enhanced by the module chips that you will have. That is where it's going to get interesting with build crafting. That being said, like always, if you find the information useful, I would very much like to invite you, like always, to like the video and hit the subscribe button, because it really helps the channel like you have no idea. And remember that if no one has told you today that you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, you are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. Have a beautiful day, and I'll be seeing you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people in the next one. Goodbye.